This story is about a group of alien exchange students who arrive on Earth expecting calm cultural lectures and safe observation zones, only to be thrown headfirst into the madness of high school gym class. As they face loud music, aggressive whistleblowing, and teenagers hurling themselves at walls and each other, the aliens become convinced they've stumbled into a sanctioned torture ritual. The landing zone smelled like overcooked broccoli, which was apparently how the Zilarians preferred to sterilize. A dome of transparent gel bubbled outward from their ship, creating a shimmer around the visitors as they slithered, tottered, and pulsed down the landing ramp. Ambassador Laith Zan flapped its 8 photoreceptive fronds in rapid alarm. This is not the observation platform? Principal Howard gave a genial smile and a handshake that barely skimmed the ambassador's limb. Welcome to Kings Ridge High School. You're just in time for second period, gym class. The interpreter drone hesitated, then translated. Lazan's fronds trembled. Within minutes, the 5 exchange students, each from a different quadrant of the Iantaria chord, stood in what the humans called the field. It was a broad rectangle of short-cut grass, hemmed by an oval track and a suspicious collection of steel contraptions. Loud pounding music echoed from boxy speakers. An adult human in short shorts stalked the sideline, twirling a whistle and shouting things like, "Let's get it, people!" Yilin, a Koran with spongy extremities and a deep-seated distrust of mammals, recoiled violently as a teenager did a somersault into a foam pit. "Why are they injuring themselves on purpose?" Yelin asked, turning its eye stalks in horror. "Is this punishment?" Laith Zan's translator blipped. "Unknown. Situation unclear." Another human launched up a climbing rope, grunting, shaking, and yelling something about beating his personal record. 2 more slammed into a padded wall with apparent joy. The Terran youth in question hit the ground, exhaled like a blowfish, and shouted with a dripping, sweat-slicked grin, "Gym class, baby!" The aliens backed up in unison. Reap, a Fraxilian with long, ribbon-like limbs, attempted to step backward, and instead wrapped itself in a yellow rubber band that had been carelessly dropped on the field. It squeaked in its native frequency, curled into itself, and mumbled a desperate prayer to the moons of glory. "Why is this allowed?" hissed Yellen. "Why are they hurting themselves and smiling? Look at that one, he has visible joint strain, and yet he is doing what appears to be a dance of further aggression." Laith Zan adjusted a holographic data tablet, furiously annotating. "It is ritualistic. They appear to derive strength from surviving repeated muscular trauma. Possibly a mating display?" A whistle blew and the aliens collectively jumped. Coach Wilkins strode forward with a clipboard and a sun visor that gave her the look of an apex predator who'd studied gym floor warfare for decades. Her whistle was legendary across 3 counties and was rumored to stop even geese in their tracks. "All right, troops, new teams. Fresh meat, you're up. Exchange students, that includes you." "Engage with what?" Laith Zan asked, in what it hoped was a non-confrontational tone. Coach Wilkins looked the group over like she was picking sides for Dodgeball and already knew they were going to lose. "You're here to learn the culture, right? Nothing more cultural than gym class. Mandatory participation, district policy, diplomatic unity, yada yada, now hustle." Reap fainted. Not figuratively. Full collapse. It went down like a ribbon-wrapped puddle of regret, its limbs twitching in slow spasms. A student gasped. Another snapped a picture. "Oh my stars, it's dying," shrieked Yellen. "This is a death pit. We are hostages in a ritualized battlefield." Coach Wilkins nudged Reap with her sneaker. "He's just winded. He'll be fine. Give me a second, I'll grab the peppermint spray." Meanwhile, Troon, a Kelkari whose main sensory organs doubled as flotation bladders, tried to mimic what it saw and ended up tangled in a jump rope. Not around its feet, no. Around its middle, shoulders, and one antenna. A student was laughing so hard he sat down in the grass to recover. "Ouch," the student wheezed. "It's like a cosmic octopus in a noodle net." "Focus, Andrew," Wilkins barked. "You're his buddy for this unit. Get him out and teach him shuttle runs." "Copy that," said Andrew, still snorting. Troon was hoisted upright like a gift-wrapped inflatable wraith and given a clipboard with numbers on it. The clipboard was for motivation, Andrew said. Troon decided it was a numeric threat. From the sidelines, Laith Zan fumbled with the emergency diplomatic channel. Council Control, this is Ambassador Laith Zan. Subject species Earth. Appears to subject youth to combat initiation trials. Request immediate extraction. The reply was swift. Negative. Observation protocols require full immersion. Failure to comply may result in diplomatic strain. Proceed. Laith Zan stared at the sky for several seconds. The sun was too close. The birds looked sarcastic. And now Yellen was being handed what resembled a small missile called a medicine ball. "Is this a gift of war?" Yellen asked. "Push-ups first," shouted Coach Wilkins. "Then laps, then the climbing wall." Ewan looked down at the heavy orb, then up, then at the climbing wall. Its eye stalks quivered. "I regret everything," it whispered. Troon, finally freed from the jump rope but now wearing a headband someone had loaned him, found himself shoulder to shoulder with a kid named Tyler, who smelled like chili fries and ambition. "Okay, alien dude," said Tyler. "Ready to do the pacer test?" Troon blinked all four eyes. "That does not sound peaceful." Tyler grinned. "It's not." Laith Zan, still waiting for a callback from the Galactic Consulate, finally sighed in whatever way a creature with 6 gill pouches and no lungs could sigh. 5. For the Accord. It stepped onto the track. The whistle blew again. The pacer music began dreaded tones with the psychological impact of war drums. The test had begun, and every alien on that field would remember the phrase that had shattered their innocence. "Gym class, baby." 6 minutes into the pacer test, Reap regained consciousness, twitched, and flopped back down. Yellen had managed a single hop before gently tipping over onto a grass patch, whispering something about its species not being designed for linear propulsion. And Trun, still tangled in the borrowed headband, was trying to keep pace with Tyler, though its gait resembled a dancing trash bag caught in the wind. Laith Zan fared marginally better. It had determined that, if it curled its limbs inward and rolled with enough momentum, it could cover distance on the track by sheer rotational inertia. Coach Wilkins noticed. "Love the hustle, LZ, but you'll need to upright yourself for shuttle drills. We got standards." Laith Zan stopped rolling, slightly dizzy. "There are more drills?" "Sweetheart, that was the warm-up," she said, blowing the whistle again. "Now we split into stations. Wall climb, rope pull, balance beam, tire flips, and team combat dodgeball. Move it." A diplomatic groan echoed across the field. One alien, a quiet observer named Zike with crystalline joints and photosensitive limbs, attempted a polite protest. "We have not eaten in 2 Earth time sectors. We request a small nutrient." "You'll get orange slices after dodgeball," barked Coach Wilkins, "if you survive." Zeke shimmered nervously. Meanwhile, Reap was revived by a helpful student named Madison, who had rubbed peppermint spray under what she hoped was its respiratory node. "Can you see me?" "How many fingers?" "Your extremities are indistinct noodles." "Close enough," Madison nodded, hoisting Reap upright. "You're on my team for tire flips. That'll wake you up." Reap blinked. "Are we preparing for war?" "Nah, it's just gym." They arrived at the tire flip zone. The tires were massive, worn, and clearly taken from machines that were never intended for high school use. One student grunted, flipped one, then cheered like he'd slain a dragon. Madison clapped her hands. "Your turn." Reap stared at the tire. It stared back. "No," it said, "that is not a cooperative object." "Don't worry," she smiled. "I'll spot you." 2 attempts later, the tire had not moved, but Reap had partially dislocated 3 pseudo-shoulders. Madison offered a juice box and a pat on the back. Reap drank it upside down. Across the field, Tron had just failed the rope climb. Each time it tried, its limbs compressed, suctioned, or drooped. The rope in turn swung freely, like it was mocking Trunt personally. After the 3rd slide down, Tyler gave an encouraging slap to Trunt's gelatinous shoulder mass. You're doing great. Just imagine the rope is your only lifeline during an asteroid collapse. We do not have ropes on Kelkeri Prime, Trun wheezed. We use zero-gravity lifts and gentle air tunnels. Well, now you got Jim, Tyler said, gesturing dramatically at the obstacle course like it was the Roman Colosseum. Welcome to Earth. Elsewhere, Yellen was trying to balance on a narrow beam while muttering apologies to physics. Its species had evolved on a planet with 0.4 Earth gravity. Every step here felt like being yanked downward by an angry deity. You're going to want to keep your knees bent, said Chloe, her own arms stretched out like airplane wings. Try to flow with it. Don't fight the gravity. I am being punished by the planet, Yellen replied mournfully. Not yet, she said with a grin. That's the monkey bars. The beam creaked as Yellen's gelatinous mass wobbled forward. 2 more steps. Then another. Then splat. Chloe winced. You okay? I cannot feel my soul. Laith Zan, meanwhile, was trapped beneath a climbing net. Not on it, under it. It had attempted to slither through as a shortcut, gotten halfway, then panicked when its translator pack snagged. 2 freshmen crouched beside it, unsure what to do. Should we, cut it out? No way, the other said. That's a diplomat. You think it breathes air? Laith Zan answered faintly. Send help. Also electrolytes. Coach Wilkins clapped her hands. Enough dawdling, final station. Dodgeball, everyone on the line. The aliens collectively groaned, but followed. Reap needed to be wheeled in on a rolling desk chair. Trun wore 3 sweatbands and had started babbling about kinetic betrayal. Zeke was shimmering dimly, which the field guide said meant low morale. All right, Wilkins barked. Red team, your offense. Blue team, defense. If you get hit, you're out. Aliens, your blue team. Good luck. The whistle blew. Madison was first to throw. A red ball shot across the field and nailed a junior in the hip with a meaty thunk. He collapsed like a drama major. Trun screamed and tried to phase behind a bench. It didn't work. The bench squeaked. Zick dove but was too slow. 1 ball shattered into crystalline particles against its shoulder. Yellen simply lay down and pretended to be a rock. Only Laith Zan held firm. It had seen enough. Whirling 2 dodgeballs in its appendages, it spun, launched one straight into the air where it accidentally bounced off a drone, and hurled the second at Madison. It missed. Barely. Madison caught it and grinned. Nice try, LZ. The whistle blew again. Game over. Aliens, 0. Humans, 11. Reesed wheezed. Is it over? Only for today, Coach Wilkins said. Tomorrow is relay races. Laith Zan, staring into the middle distance, whispered, There is no tomorrow, only Jim. The alien delegation was helped off the field by students who offered high fives, water bottles, and orange slices. Reap consumed 4 without chewing. Yellen licked its own eye in distress. Trun muttered something about dimensionally safer hobbies like asteroid mining. Honestly, said Andrew, wiping his brow, you guys did pretty good for your first time. No one puked. That's rare. Coach Wilkins walked by, making notes on her clipboard. Might have to adjust warm-up expectations for off-world physiology. Not bad effort. We'll build up your stamina. 10 weeks, you'll be running laps like champions. Laith Zan stared at her. 10 weeks? Yep, full quarter, welcome to Earth curriculum. Zeke flickered in alarm. We remain here for 10 full rotations of your educational cycle? You bet, Coach said. And next week's fitness focus is endurance pain management. Reap fainted again. Coach Wilkins didn't look up. He'll bounce back. By Earth standards, the following Monday began brisk and cloudy. By intergalactic standards, it was a Category 7 trauma opportunity. The alien delegation arrived on the field with the expressions of prisoners marching toward philosophical defeat. They wore borrowed gym uniforms, now standard blue tees with King's Ridge Phys Ed across the chest. Reap's shirt sagged like wet laundry over its filamentous body, and Zick's shirt had to be cut open to accommodate its spine ridges, which glowed faintly when stressed. Yilin had attached soft knee cushions to its legs using rubber bands and declared it a culturally sanctioned compromise. Trun had tied 2 pool noodles to its arms, claiming they were both protective and spiritually centering. Laith Zan simply walked to the field, flopped down, and stared at the sky. Coach Wilkins blew her whistle. All right, aliens and earthlings, this week we're talking endurance. Pain is weakness leaving the body, and you've got a whole lot of weakness. Tyler clapped. That's what I'm talking about. Laith Zan whispered. He celebrates weakness extraction. Wilkins nodded toward a set of chalk-outlined squares. First up, agility ladders. You will hop. You will skip. You will learn to love the burn. The delegation was paired again with students, this time more cautiously. The school nurse stood nearby with an extra supply of sports drinks and cold packs, her expression somewhere between worried and "I've seen worse." Reap was the first up. Its version of hopping involved compressing into a pulsating dome and popping forward like a jelly bean on a trampoline. The result was unpredictable but oddly effective. By its third pass, students had gathered to cheer. "Go Reap!" shouted Madison. "You're crushing it!" "I feel like I'm being reverse digested," Reap called back. "Welcome to cardio," she beamed. Meanwhile, Trun stood at the ladder, staring down the path like it was mined. Tyler encouraged him. "Left foot, right foot, one at a time. You got this, buddy." "I don't know what my left foot is." "Just pick one and pretend." Trun lunged. It miscalculated. The pool noodles tangled midair, causing a grand somersault that ended with Trun wrapped around the ladder in a perfect corkscrew. Someone applauded. Coach Wilkins wrote something on her clipboard. "Impressive torque," she said. "Mark that for flexibility grading." Yilin's agility attempt was more theatrical. It bounded sideways, wobbled, panicked, and eventually fell, chest first, into the chalk pattern, leaving behind a perfect silhouette impression. Chloe, assigned as Yilin's buddy again, offered a thumbs up. "That's basically a yoga pose. I believe I have permanently unaligned my chakras." Zick shimmered faintly. It approached the ladder with rigid precision and executed each step flawlessly. It didn't blink. Its limbs moved like a metronome under cosmic pressure. "Dude," said Andrew, watching, "are you a gymnast?" "No," Zick answered. "I have learned to fear human applause." Next came the endurance circuit. This included sprint drills, stair jumps, and something ominously titled the wall sit. Troon, watching a student squat against a wall without moving, whispered to Laith Zan, "He is not even fleeing, he just waits for the collapse." "It is an act of devotion to leg tension," Laith Zan replied grimly. The alien delegation attempted wall sets. Reap lasted 6 seconds. Yulin fainted upright, somehow maintaining form even in unconsciousness. Zeekok didn't bend at all, choosing instead to vibrate rapidly and claim a technical exception. Only Laith Zan remained after a minute. Coach Wilkins nodded with quiet respect. "You might have something, LZ. I cannot feel my lower third." "Good. Means it's working." After the endurance block came a brief hydration break. Reap drank 4 bottles, upside down again. "I no longer have a sense of inside and outside," it told Madison, who handed it a 5th bottle with a smile. "Your blood sugar's gonna love you. I no longer believe in sugar." Then came the day's grand finale, the trust carry. This involved one student, or alien, closing their eyes while a partner carried them through a short obstacle track, trusting the carrier completely. The aliens went stiff. "You wish us to relinquish control of our transport to someone who threw a ball at us last week?" asked Yellen. Coach Wilkins answered with the most diplomatic of responses, a whistle blow. Laith Zan was paired with Tyler. "All right, hop on," Tyler grinned. "I weigh 38 kilograms of compressed fluid and plasma. If I rupture, you'll be fine. I've lifted sheep before, way beneath the thick layers of water." "Or H Club," Tyler replied, then squatted. "Come on, let's do this." Laith Zan was carried, reluctantly. Its limbs flopped, its fronds wilted. But Tyler navigated the course well, ducking cones, hopping mini hurdles, even spinning once for flair. When they finished, Laith Zan blinked. "I have not been dropped." "Never doubted," Tyler said. Reap was paired with Chloe. She scooped it up like a toddler with a backpack full of pudding and proceeded with care. "You smell like hand sanitizer and despair," Reap commented. "Thanks, it's my aesthetic." Zik refused to be carried and instead glided alongside Andrew, holding a hand for legal balance protocol. Yellen ended up in a wagon someone found behind the bleachers. Coach Wilkins clapped as the last group returned. "Not bad. Nobody disintegrated. We're making progress." Trun crawled out of the wagon beside Yellen. "I believe my molecules are forming new survival instincts." "You're becoming athletic," Tyler grinned. Trun narrowed all four eyes. "I am becoming traumatized." That evening, the delegation gathered inside their temporary consulate quarters, sore, wrapped in various ice packs and emotionally frayed. Reap rotated slowly in a cooling bath. "We are being trained for something. The humans prepare us. For war. Or perhaps musical theater." Zeke stared at the ceiling, still shimmering. "Today, I was carried across a terrain by a carnivore who eats fried bread with meat inside." "Laith Zan," Yilin said quietly, "are we allowed to surrender?" Laith Zan looked at its companions, their bruised pride and borrowed uniforms, the strange energy drinks they now accepted without question. "We are not at war," it said. "We are enrolled." Silence. Then Trun whispered, "Gym class is assimilation." "No," said Laith Zan. "Gym class is how they build resilience, through exhaustion, shared suffering, and an illogical fondness for whistle-based commands." Yellen blinked. "You mean this is not punishment?" Laith Zan looked at the group, then said the unthinkable. "I believe they think this is fun." No one spoke. Then Reap sighed. "I hate that I'm beginning to understand." 3 weeks into the gym program, the alien delegation had stopped fainting. This was celebrated quietly with juice boxes and a communal high-five circle that went poorly for Reap, whose gelatinous arm stuck to Yellen's for 6 minutes. They called it a bonding moment, mostly because neither wanted to admit to screaming. The morning of the Team Fitness Challenge began with fog hanging low over the field. It would have looked majestic if it weren't for the faint odor of liniment and the looming silhouette of Coach Wilkins, who stood like a sleep-deprived hawk by the scoreboard. "Today's the Unity Field Test," she barked. "You'll work in human-alien pairs. Obstacle relay, partner lifts, final crawl. This is your big chance. Diplomatic achievement depends on your time." Laith Zan's fronds stiffened. "Diplomatic what?" Coach consulted her clipboard. "Oh, did no one tell you? Galactic Accord officials will be observing this one. Cameras, judges, little flags. It's a big deal." Zik's outer layer dimmed 3 hues. Yellen emitted a mournful beep. Reap muttered, "I am so tired of physical symbolism." Tron leaned against Tyler. "If I rupture, you are liable for damages." "Wouldn't dream of it," Tyler said. "Let's win this thing." The first event was the partner wheelbarrow race. Andrew dropped into position, Zeke hesitated, then hoisted Andrew's legs with all 4 of its limbs and began the forward crawl. It was shockingly effective. Zeke's hydraulic balance was perfect. Andrew whooped. "I feel like a racehorse. Go, Zeke, go." Zeke didn't reply. It was entirely focused on footfall velocity and spatial mapping. Meanwhile, Madison and Reap fared worse. Reap's lower body wobbled like unset pudding, and every jostle made a noise that could only be described as internal regret. After 3 feet, they collapsed into a heap. "We'll make it up on the tire drag," Madison gasped. "I have no tires on my planet. Why would I drag one?" "To be stronger," she grinned. "I want a refund." The second challenge was the partner carry. Trun, equipped with padded shoulder guards, attempted to lift Tyler. It went poorly. "Just squat and pull," Tyler coached. "I don't squat. I undulate." Eventually, they formed a compromise. Tyler sat in a modified wheelbarrow, while Trun pulled the handles with 2 limbs and stabilized the wheels with a 3rd. Coach Wilkins paused beside them. "Unconventional," she said, "but legal." Yilin and Chloe were halfway through the mud crawl. Yilin, originally terrified of dirt, now wore a determined scowl as it powered forward. "I am one with the muck," it whispered. "The soil will not defeat me." "You're doing great," Chloe cheered. Yilin's eye stalks quivered with pride. At the final challenge, an uphill push of a weighted sled, Leith Zian stood beside Tyler, their breaths sinking as they waited for the whistle. Leif Zan had stopped questioning the point of gym class. It no longer saw it as punishment. It had begun to understand. The sweat, the grunts, the collective groans, it wasn't about dominance or suffering. It was about choosing to keep going. The whistle blew. Leif Zan dug in. Tyler pushed beside it. The sled was heavy, but not impossibly so. Others were struggling. Reap had fused briefly to the turf. Trun was using all 4 limbs to drag its sled like a distressed spider. But no one stopped. The galactic observers watched in silence from their clean suits and hover platforms. They made notes, whispered into microphones. And then, one by one, each human-alien team crossed the finish line. Zik shimmered bright yellow. Time, complete, 11 minutes, 22 seconds, within success parameters. Coach Wilkins blew her whistle. "Not bad, not bad. You worked together, you didn't collapse, and nobody needed medical evac. That's a W in my book." Ambassador Leith Zan turned to her. "May I address the assembly?" Coach shrugged. "Long as it's not longer than 10 seconds. I gotta wrap this up before 3rd period." Leith Zan nodded, then turned to the watching crowd and the confused galactic officials. It lifted its translation pack, adjusted the volume, and said with quiet solemnity, "We came to observe. We feared you were inflicting pain on your young. We thought this Class A form of sanctioned torment. We were wrong. This is the most human thing we have witnessed. You take discomfort, exhaustion, gravity, and you conquer it together." A pause. "And also you appear to derive actual pleasure from it, which is horrifying." There was polite applause. One galactic observer clapped nervously with 4 tentacles. Coach Wilkins nodded. "That's enough of that. Hit the showers, folks. Tomorrow we got water polo." Tren's knees buckled. "There's more? Every weekday until graduation." Yellen sagged. "How long until we graduate?" "Earth time," Coach said. 6 years. Reap fainted a 3rd time. That evening, the alien delegation sat around their shared quarters, each one bruised, bandaged, and emotionally different. They no longer feared gym class. They respected it. Reap sipped water through a straw and said, "I still do not enjoy running, but I no longer consider it a war crime." Yilin looked up from its exercise band. "I did not panic once today." Zeke glowed faintly. "My muscles have begun hypertrophic response. I am adapting." Trun leaned back with an ice pack on its midsection. "I still don't know what I'm doing, but I crave another victory." Leitzan looked around at them all. "Then we will endure. And when the next generation of exchange students arrives, we will tell them of the gauntlet, of the sweat, of the whistle, and the orange slices," added Reap. "Especially those," said Yellen. Leith Zayan raised its juice box. "To gym class. A ritual, not of pain, but of unity." They all raised their boxes, clicked them together, and took a victorious sip. And outside, under the setting sun, the track field waited, silent but ready. Because tomorrow was Tuesday, and Tuesdays meant circuit sprints. But for now, the aliens rested. Earth was strange, and they were getting stronger, together.